What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rant, no hate. So you guys, you saw the thumbnail, and I want to do this video, and I want to make this point, or these points rather, and sum things up, because there's a lot of, unrealistic talk out there where people just want to make everybody a superstar. Everybody's the best at, everybody's the GOAT at, everybody's the top dog. People don't look at reality. Now, these comparisons are very simple. I'm making the comparison between Michael Nunn and Shakur Stevenson. And I'm also making a comparison between Deontay Wilder and James Kirkland. Now, a better, or just as good, and I only say better because they were the same division, comparison would have been Michael Grant. But it's the same thing. And I'm going to tell you and show you why. First of all, these are four different generations. Okay, Michael Nunn was before them. He's from a more old school. James Kirkland is before Deontay. Deontay is before Shakur. But I'm going to show you some similarities and some differences. First off, let's compare Michael Nunn and Shakur Stevenson. The only real comparison there, they both were good boxers. Michael Nunn was a hell of a boxer. They both were accused of not having crowd-pleasing styles. But Michael Nunn went to war with several people and destroyed them. He beat people that he was so expected to lose to. People that they didn't think he was good enough to beat. They slept on him. He don't have the power. He says he does, but sometimes he boxes, sometimes he chooses to bang with you. I mean, you never know which version you're going to get. Well, it's a such thing as adjusting to your opponent. What commentators and spectators think that they can tell you how you should be fighting, not based on the fact of you're the one in the ring, your instincts have kicked in, you're feeling out what you should be doing, you and your cornerman, your team in the corner working together and putting the plan together, executing. No, they're telling you what you should be doing and this, that, and if he wants to be a big star, because everybody is knockout hungry. Shakur is dealing with that right now. Although Michael Nunn was far more aggressive than Shakur. That's one thing. He was far more aggressive than Shakur. And he was fighting real killers, man. Michael Nunn was no joke. But Shakur Stevenson, yeah, he's all about I hit you and you don't hit me. Now, Michael Nunn had that somewhat, because Michael Nunn, he wasn't shy about getting there and mixing it up with guys. He wasn't. But that doesn't mean Shakur's not a good fighter. Now, you may not like his style. And it's crazy how people was talking all this shit about Michael Nunn. Oh, Michael Nunn was boring. Are you shitting me? If you was to put a Michael Nunn fight on, I can show you some Michael Nunn fights. You can go right on YouTube. You'll be like, nah, this dude really could fight. He was good. Michael Nunn wasn't scared of none of them dudes. Michael Nunn, he fought smart. He knew what he had to do. And that's, basically what the whole thing is. Understanding the assignment and delivering. You're not going to please everybody. And even when you knock a guy out, you're going to have people saying, well, he won't beat such and such. You're never going to please everybody. So, two boxers, and one was far more daring than the other, but they both went through the same criticisms. And pretty much, Michael Nunn stepped up and showed that he can get you out of there. Michael Nunn showed that he will stand there and bang when he needs to. And it's not always even when you need to. A lot of times it's the ego of the fighter make them do certain things. And then when they end up losing, the very people criticizing their styles will be the ones saying, I don't know what happened. He should have stuck to his ordinary style. But that's what they do. Now, Michael Nunn did what he had to do. And he wasn't caring about criticism. The hell with that. I'm here to fight. Now, Shakur wrestled with that idea. That's why he started trying to play the role of trying to be the bad guy, start talking shit to Floyd and all this stuff. This was all this image gimmick nonsense, which I say great fighters don't need that shit, man. Just go in there and handle your business. And like I said in the last video, you see how all of a sudden now he's talking about he's going to reach out to Floyd, talk to him and find out like what did Floyd do about having bad hands, and the best way to take care of his hands in between fights and even during the fight, like the best way to, even from the gloves you wear. Okay, but Michael Nunn ain't care nothing about that nonsense. Y'all talking about, hey, I'm the one in there, not you guys. So Shakur understands now. You know what, man? I ain't worried about these people. You know what? They hate my style. I'm gonna rub it in their face. It's kind of like Rick Ross calling 50 Cent curly, and then 50 Cent took the damn character, took that saying and made that little name and made a character out of it. You know what I mean? And rubbed it in his face, monetized it and shit. Okay, yeah, you don't like my style? Okay, you gonna hate it next time because my opponent ain't even gonna touch me. Yeah, I'm gonna be super defensive next time. Now all of a sudden, they're talking about how great Floyd was and Shakur's no Floyd, but that's not what y'all was saying before. It's not what you guys were saying before. You were trying to make it like he was as good as Floyd or better than Floyd. I mean, this is what people do with all this flip-flopping. So, Shakur Stevenson, still undefeated. And, right now, this is what it is. Now, imagine if he's fighting this way now. If he went to 140. This is my point. You have to fight in the way that best suits you. Because when you don't have that cracking type power, you need to have that defense. Regardless of what type of fighter you are, I always feel like be defensive solid, be defensively solid as well. Because when you're in there just taking punches for nothing, I mean you basically you don't know how to fight. Basically, there's no prize in getting beat up. Even if you win, you're just getting hit with shots for no reason. So they're from two different eras, two different mindsets. Michael Nunn was a killer. And if you sat and did it side by side and just watched their fights, you'd see like, yeah, nah, Nunn was aggressive. Nunn was a bad dude. Michael Nunn is one of those fighters that I feel like people appreciated him more now that his time is come and gone than when he was actually, boxing. Of course, he, some things went wrong in his life. He wound up going to prison, did some time. He's out now. He talks about it. He seemed to be more positive-minded about life and everything and understanding what he went through and why. So that's that. But that's why I look at with Shakur. But Shakur's winning fights. Shakur's a multi-time champion. Multiple weight classes. But this generation, same way. With the hate, the not understanding, like, the dude is a good fighter. But at the same time, Shakur, like, he talks a lot of shit. And the type of shit he talks, people feel like, well, if you're going to talk that kind of shit, you need to be fighting like Tyson or fighting like Tank or getting knockouts like Tank. Look, the difference between Tank and Shakur, let's look at their opponents and let's look at their accomplishments. They're like parallel to each other. The difference is Tank's style is more exciting. So people are more attracted to Tank's style. Does he beat Shakur? That's what we want to know. That's why and how you find out. Make the fight, then we know who's the better fighter. Because what you implement versus, okay, I can implement my game plan, but you can't implement yours. Okay, then. Doesn't matter where they're different in different areas. All that matters is who wins fair and square at the end. And so those similarities with him and Michael Nunn, he's in that position right now. Devin Haney was in that position as well. Winning fight after fight after fight, became undisputed champion, but people still don't want to give him his props. But just like with the comparisons to Shakur, the same with Devin Haney, Michael Nunn was a killer, man. Michael Nunn was that dude was. Michael Nunn was a bad motherfucker, man. He's a bad motherfucker. And if Michael Nunn had not got caught up in the bullshit, who knows what would have happened in his career, man. But yeah, the first person that beat him was James Stoney, man. I think he went to prison after that. I don't remember the exact timeline when he had went to prison. And I watched him tell his story. But bottom line is, like, Michael Nunn was no joke. Michael Nunn was no fucking joke, bro. And anybody talking that he was boring shit, you full of shit. Fuck you and your opinion. Who cares? Because I seen that dude. I mean, like I said, man, I remember Michael Elijah, they were supposed to beat him. Frank Tate was supposed to knock him out and destroy him. Iran Barkley was supposed to beat him. Y'all praise Iran Barkley, but he lost to Michael Nunn. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so it's one of these things too, man, where, like I said, man, Mike, listen, plain and simple, Michael Nunn was that guy. And right now, Shakur Stevenson is in that same situation he was in. Now, the next comparison, I can use, like I said, James Kirkland, and I can also use, Michael Grant, who's a heavyweight like Wilder, tall like Wilder, but bigger, bulkier, heavier. Tall like him, might have been a little bit taller. But let's look at what this is. And James Kirkland fits right in there as well. Now, I like Michael Nunn as a fighter. I like Devin Haney as a fighter. I like, Shakur as a fighter. And I brought their names up. I like them all as fighters. I never thought much about James Kirkland. I never thought much about Michael Grant. And I never thought much about Deontay Wilder. And let me show you the difference between Wilder, James Kirkland, and also Michael Grant. I'm going to throw him in there because I thought about it. I didn't, whatever. I didn't feel like cropping the picture anymore, and I had to, fuck it, whatever. Enough is enough with that. Michael Grant. I remember when they was talking about him, they hyped him up. I watched him fight. I'm like, I don't see nothing special with him. He's strong. He can punch. And he was running through people. Dude had like 10 fights that he won in 1 month time. He was just running through nobodies. And I remember him beating Jorge Gonzalez. Who else did he fight? I remember he fought what's my man name? That I think he's German, man. The guy that kept hitting Riddick Bowe low. He fought Mike Tyson. I think the motherfucker got a seizure when he fought Tyson. I always forget his goddamn name. But this motherfucker was ahead on the scorecards. Now he dropped Michael Grant in the fight. Well, he was ahead on the scorecards. He quit, and then Michael Nunn won because the motherfucker Andrew Galata was a fucking nutcase. Dude was a head case, man. And he just quit. He's up on the scorecards, but he just quit. Okay, Michael Grant gets the win. Michael Grant ends up getting in a fight with who did he fight, man? I'm trying to think who he fought. I know Lennox Lewis destroyed him, knocked him down like 3 times in the first round, knocked him down again in the second round, and he didn't get up. He didn't make it to his feet. Got destroyed by Lewis. He got beat up by. I remember him getting beat up by Jamil McCline. Michael Grant. He lost to Carlos Takam, beat him. This was late on. Carlos Takam beat him when he was on the come up, and Michael Grant was on his way out. But he beat him. What's the guy name? He went the distance with Lou Savarese. So beating Lou Savarese and going the distance with Lou Savarese, knocking out Jorge Gonzalez, that was like the 2 biggest things that he did on his career. Then he gets there. He lost when he lost to Lewis. You see, like he had no business in it with Lewis. But see, everybody wanted to hype him up. He's the next big thing, next big American star. And they tried to hype this dude up, and I'm like, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Same thing with James Kirkland. They hyped him up. How exciting he is. He's strong. He's like a bulldozer. He only knows one speed. He's all gas and no brakes. He just come at you. Same thing. Fighting a bunch of nobodies. Okay. He lost to Manuel Char. So when I'm watching him, and I'm watching James Kirkland got beat by, I think it was a Chinese guy. Nobuhiro, what's his name? Nobuhiro something, man. Ashita. Nobuhiro Ashita, if I remember correctly. And that dude at the time, I think he was like 23 fights in. He only had like 8 knockouts. His career, I think he ended with like 40 wins, 11 losses, and like he only I know he had like 11 knockouts altogether. I don't remember how many losses, but he lost quite a bit. But he fought nobodies. He was the first person to beat James Kirkland. He stopped him, and this dude couldn't even punch. And basically, this was after he left Ann Wolfe because Ann Wolfe was too strict on him. And after he got his ass whooped and claimed that he was feeling way better, he was doing better, with the new trainer, he went right back to Ann Wolfe. And they tried to hype James Kirkland up, and I just never saw it. And in fact, the night that he fought Canelo, same thing. They tried to hype him up. This is going to be a great action-packed slugfest. This is going to... I'm like, no, it's not, man. Canelo is going to beat the shit out of this dude. And, you know, James Kirkland comes out, running across the ring, swinging all these wild, hard shots. Canelo, okay, cover up. Let me see what he's doing. All right. Okay, I got him. And Canelo got him out in like the third round. Okay, he got knocked out in the first round against the Chinese guy. And that guy couldn't even punch. Now, compare Canelo to that Chinese guy, Nobuhiro. Canelo would have crushed Nobuhiro Ishida. It would be okay, but you know, he went longer with Canelo than he did with Nobuhiro. Now, this is what happened differently. Okay, and let's look at Deontay. Deontay fought a bunch of nobodies. I remember a couple years ago, people got in my comment section was telling me, yo, Aries, check out the fight between Harold Sconia and Deontay Wilder. And you know what was crazy was I didn't realize that I actually saw that fight. I didn't remember that I saw that fight. In fact, I'm like, wait a minute. Because it was just some little small building. I don't know, it was some little bingo hall, little tight, one of them little small buildings and shit, whatever. If I remember correctly, Wilder had on, I think, like the blue trunks or something. Or whatever. But I remember, and how I saw the fight was somebody, the motherfucker that I seen it on, this was on some VCR shit, man. Like this motherfucker, like CD shit, and it looked like it had that VCR quality look to it. It was like, yo, and then I'm like, wait a minute. The camera angle was weird as fuck. Like you can tell it wasn't like the production of like a production crew that was hired to come and record the fight. It was a weird ass camera angle, like somebody recorded, you know, with a camcorder or some shit or whatever. But anyway, and I'm like, wait a minute, and I can't remember where. Even now, I really don't remember where I saw that fight. But I remember like, oh shit! It's when I seen it. You know how you had like a deja vu? It's like I remembered like, oh, that was fucking Deontay. Plus Deontay, he had the real low haircut then or whatever. But yeah. And one of those small bingo hall looking buildings or some shit. This dude beat Deontay Wilder. He knocked him out, and the ref purposely extended. He gave Deontay grace, gave him a second chance to win in that fight. Harold Sconia didn't close the show. Okay, and Wilder won the fucking fight. But as Wilder went on, right, you saw the people he fought. The difference with Michael Grant and with James Kirkland is they put Michael Grant and James Kirkland in it. Well, James Kirkland losing to Nobuhiro was like a shock to people. Like, how the hell did he lose to this dude? But they put them in there. I mean, let's like I said, James Kirkland fought Canelo as well. So Michael Grant getting there with Lennox Lewis and you know, he stepped his game up. Like, he stepped up in terms of who he fought. Whereas with Wilder, this is facts. Go do your homework. I put the video on my channel already, like 2 years ago. Wilder, even when he was WBC champion, Wilder was fighting guys ranked 500, 400, 300, 200, 100. Yes, while he was champion. The excuses that people was making for Wilder in terms of his choice of opponents was, yo, but you got to understand, he didn't have a long Olympic career. And bro, I know about his bronze medal and all that. You ain't telling me nothing I don't fucking know. But that's why he did not lose sooner. His first big test wasn't Bermane-Stiverne. People can talk what they want. There's a lot of people, I don't know if they like Bermane-Stiverne as a person, or maybe they work with him so they have a certain respect for him. I never thought much about Bermane-Stiverne either, okay? And Bermane-Stiverne, who the hell ever brings his name up? Who? He's more popular and more known for getting folded by Wilder than he is for even being a champion. Won the championship in the rematch with Chris Arreola and lost it on his very first defense against Wilder. And talked all this shit like he was going to steamroll through Wilder. He was going to do this and that. And he went in there. The first fight went the distance. Second fight, it was laughable. It was a joke. Okay, but bottom line is, that wasn't a step up. That motherfucker is no better than Charles Martin. Let's be real. Charles Martin, shit. Bottom line, that was his first, step-up fight. But was it really? Skill for skill. Was it really? Right? That was his first step up. His first fight with an actual decent fighter was against Luis Ortiz. You know how people say, oh man, the ref should have called the fight off with Fury because the way Fury went down. But you can't blame Jack Reese and say Jack Reese is known for doing that. But bottom line, it's the referee's discretion. The ref didn't do nothing wrong. He got up. When Fury got up, he wasn't on Wilder's legs. He started walking Wilder down. Start taking the fight, start winning that round back. But wait, let's go to when Deontay Wilder fought against Luis Ortiz. And Deontay didn't go down, but if it wasn't for the ropes, I mean, he was all over the place. He's on the ropes, so he might have went down if it wasn't for the ropes. And bottom line, I have seen fights where a guy got cracked and was getting beat around the ring and wasn't throwing punches back, and the ref stopped it because the dude couldn't defend himself. Now, the ref didn't stop the fight. The start of the next round, Wilder comes out in the 7th round, and the fucking referee goes over there and he's talking to him. Wilder's not cut. He's not bleeding. He doesn't have no hematoma, nothing coming from his, nothing. Concern, just, and I'm like, what the fuck? What are they doing? Now, what if the ref would have stopped it? Because Wilder came back and he knocked Ortiz out because Ortiz couldn't close the show. What if the ref would have stopped it, though? Now, look at what he would have prevented Wilder from doing, which is coming back, knocking dude out. But that bullshit in the start of the 7th round was that like, why are you giving this dude time to recover? Because pretty much that's all that shit was. That's the same logic applied to if the ref stopped the fight against Fury, guess what? Wilder won. That's the part that hurt Wilder fans the most, because it's like, damn, he won that shit. I don't know why y'all care, man. Y'all be too emotional about this shit. But the same rules apply to both. If he would have stopped it, now look at, he didn't stop it. Look at what Fury did when he got up. Same thing. And like I said, there's been fighters, check your fucking history. Fighters that didn't get knocked down, but got hurt on their feet and couldn't throw punches back. It was all over the ring, all over the ropes, 2-3 times stumbling and couldn't fight back, and the ref just stopped it. Okay. I also saw a fight where a guy literally was on Bambi legs, man, was all over the place, get up, fall, get up, and the ref basically was counting slow as fuck. He didn't just wave it off. The dude just couldn't continue, and the ref was counting slow. All right. Now, that all being said, if Wilder had a fought AJ, he had a fought Dillian White, he had a fought Fury, which he wound up doing later, but if he, see, this is my point. In my opinion, it doesn't matter now because it didn't happen, but in my opinion, Joseph Parker, all those dudes was better than Wilder. And the funny thing about it is, I remember 7-8 Sports, even Dante's Boxing Nation made the comment about how, oh, Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz is better than everybody that AJ's fought. He's better than Parker. He's all these people, right? But isn't it funny how Parker ends up beating Wilder? Zhang, who's older than Wilder, beat Wilder. Terrence Crawford, who's considered pound for pound best fighter in the world, what, he's a year younger than Wilder? Or some months younger than Wilder? Huh? 37 years old. Wilder's what, 38? Yeah. So you can't sit here and make excuses about somebody's age. This guy's washed up, but yet this guy's the best fighter in the world. And they're a year apart or some months apart or whatever the fuck it is. But at the end of the day, that's my point. Wilder was protected and cushioned. They threw Michael Grant in there with guys, like if they could have did the same thing with Michael Grant, let him keep beating up on these CD level dudes, so he could have skipped right past, what's this dude name, Andrew Galata, he could have, he got the decision because Andrew quit. And like I said, the dude was a head case, but bottom line is, he could have had all these so-called impressive wins by beating up on nobodies like he was doing. And that was my point. You know what I said about Michael Grant? When I watched him back in the day, I said, man, I don't see this dude beating nobody, man. I'm like, man, I tell you what, let that motherfucker get in there with David Tua and these guys that was in at the time. That was, let him, he wouldn't have beat none of those guys. And that was my whole thing. When Wilder lost, to Joseph Parker, it wasn't even competitive. He showed you that he couldn't even compete. When Wilder lost to Zhang, he got knocked out in the 4th round. He's looking around trying to talk to the referee. I mean, the dude basically didn't look comfortable. He didn't look confident. This is my thing. This is not what I'm used to doing. These are not the type of people I'm used to fighting. I said the same thing about Michael Grant. I said the same thing about James Kirkland that I said about Deontay Wilder. When these dudes finally fight good competition, the way they're looking, I see them getting their asses whooped. And me looking at who was fighting at the time in those eras, the same thing. And I'm looking, see who's out there that Wilder's not fighting. And you guys think it's just a coincidence that when he stepped up, he got his ass whooped. People think it's just a coincidence that when Michael Grant stepped up, he got his ass whooped. People think that when James Kirkland stepped up, he got his ass whooped. And that's the thing. You know, with Wilder, he had the reputation of the right hand, the right hand, the right hand. It's possible Michael Grant might have knocked Wilder out because Michael Grant was the type of person. Michael Grant had power. And Michael Grant was known for getting up. He wasn't knocked out with one punch. He was known for getting up multiple times. But Michael Grant was he was an overrated fighter, hyped up, and they moved him to where he was impressive enough to people that, like I said, they put him in there with Andrew Galata first. And looking at that fight, I wasn't impressed. And Galata dropped him in that fight. You know, and I looked at him like, nah, I don't think much of this guy, man. You know, and the fact that, because look, man, Jameel McCline was a guy that was, you know, it's like you could see a little potential in him. But Jameel McCline, he just didn't have that dog in him, man. He didn't have that top level dog in him. He could. Jameel McCline was Bruce Sullivan type level, you know, Savarese type level. You know, Manuel Char type. Like that's what Jameel McCline was. He was best friends with Chris Bird. Jameel McCline was like 250 something. 255 is a big dude. He went the distance with Chris Bird. And the way he fought Chris Bird, I'm like, man, there's no way in hell you should be fighting this man the way you fighting him, man. You know, Chris Bird was slick and could box with Chris Bird. You know, Ika Bucci showed you how you break down slick boxers like Chris Bird. I'm gonna leave it at that. And I saw Jameel McCline wasn't even close to that. But Michael Grant, if they would have did him and James Kirkland the way they did Deontay Wilder, let's keep putting him in here and making him look like a savage against, because he was getting brutal knockouts, beating motherfuckers down. And you didn't know none of these fucking people he was fighting, man. These were not elite guys at all. These guys wasn't even good. And that's what they did different with Wilder. We're not going to make that same mistake and put him in there too soon. Let's not forget, when he was the WBC champion and he was being interviewed, and Shelly Finkel was asked, what about Vladimir Klitschko? I mean, Wilder has a belt, Klitschko has a belt. Oh, we're not gonna put him in there with the likes of Vladimir Klitschko. I mean, Deontay Wilder's a baby. This motherfucker was all of 30 years old. No, but Aries, what they was talking about was, you know, he didn't have that experience. So fucking what? Neither did AJ. But when AJ finally got that belt, AJ kept going forward. He ain't go backwards. In fact, fight after fight, AJ went forward. That's what he chose to do, right? AJ didn't even like to do tune-up fights or nothing, you know? So my point, bottom line is, Shelly Finkel flat out admitted they wasn't confident to put him in there with somebody like Vladimir Klitschko. He didn't even get in there with the Charles Martin. And this is what I'm saying. When I say Charles Martin was on that level of a Berman Stavern, but I put Charles Martin, I think, like in a fight with Berman, I go with Charles Martin. Like Charles Martin was the type of fighter, man, that he didn't know how to step it up. Even when he win some rounds and do some good things in the fight, he just made the fight harder for himself. It's like he just didn't have the common sense and the discipline to fight the way he was supposed to. You know, but Berman Stavern was one-dimensional, thought he could knock everybody out, dare to be hit. Nothing special about Berman Stavern either. But hey, listen, that is the difference with those guys. It's just a coincidence that everything I said about those three guys, and I wound up saying the same things about those three guys, and they all had the same fucking outcome. And it's just a coincidence. No. I watched Wilder. I said, he got a good right hand. But these guys he's fighting, they're not that good. And they don't even know how to roll with punches. I'm watching this guy, and I say, if he had some skills to go with that right hand, so he's not just a one-handed fighter, and he had a... Wilder, at best, his jab was the most important punch in his whole arsenal. And the reason is because he used to use his jab and his movement. Just move, jab, and move. He didn't know how to put punches together, and I saw that and I understood that. And he would jab and jab. The jab was consistent. And then he would just move and just move. So you're not seeing uppercuts. You're not seeing body shots, really. Other than a jab to the body, jab to the body. You're not seeing, hooks, and you're not seeing a variety of punches or combinations from Wilder. And then Wilder would just move. His jab was his most important punch. Jab and staying out of harm's way. And then out of nowhere, when you get desperate trying to catch him with something, and then he just catch you sleeping and catch you with the right hand. Now, when you step up in competition and fight guys that actually can fight, they see this shit coming. It's not going to land as easy. So when he knocks down Fury, like I said, that's all he did. Every time they fought that he knocked Fury down, that's all he did was landed the punch to win. He did nothing in the rounds to this is a great back and forth fight. No, it was never that. And Wilder, another one. He's not a brawler. Wilder's a puncher. Wilder don't brawl with you. He don't stand there and bang with anybody. That's not what Wilder does. Which is why when people make the comparisons and say he is this generation's Frazier or this generation's Tyson or this, no, he's not. He's not that. You ever see George Foreman fighting motherfuckers on the back foot? Wilder's always on the back foot. So when you step up in competition, before James Kirkland stepped up in competition, he lost. And people kept trying to hype him up. When he got back with Ann Wolfe, he had a string of wins. I don't remember how many fights it was, but he had a nice little string of wins. And then he's in there and Canelo just showed nah, you ain't got no business here with me. I know he ended his career with 3 losses. I think he was 30-3 or 30. I think he was 30-3 or something like that. But he could punch. And it was exciting the way he knocked people out. But like I said, what happens when you go in there and fight a skillful fighter, man? He's going to get beat. He doesn't... See, I'm not impressed by people that you got power and that's it, or speed and that's it. I like when people put their shit together. And James Kirkland, I just didn't see him the way they was trying to hype him up. There was a lot of people around me that didn't see it either. Michael Grant, same thing. I didn't have any faith in Grant. I didn't have any faith in Michael Grant. And I said, he hasn't fought anybody worthy. He ain't fought anybody any real skill. And that's what I need to see him do for me to start putting him up there with the fighters that was up in the top back then. Nah, he wasn't that guy. And like I said, every step up fight, when he really had this, you saw. He got dropped almost every time he fought just a decent fighter. And yeah, they could have kept him out of harm's way, baby his career, cushion him. And then the first time he gets knocked out is in there against Lennox Lewis after he beat all these nobodies. That's what they could have did. So when you look and say, the 2 biggest wins on my whole resume is against Jorge Gonzalez and an Andrew Gallardo who quit. It's not saying a whole lot. So my point, if they would have put Wilder in there with the Klitschko, they start putting him in there with the top fighters earlier, I believe strongly the same way Parker beat him, the same way Fury Zhang beat him. This is my point. He would have already had losses. That's my whole point. But people was telling you, even Teddy Atlas, different people, Wilder, it doesn't matter. Once Wilder hit you, that's it. Okay, so what happened when he hit Zhang? Nothing. Let's look at his fight against Zhang. Now let's look at Cabiel's fight against Zhang. What's the other guy that fought Zhang and got the decision? This is my point. Wilder, when I tell you guys, Wilder cannot box. I don't give a fuck about you getting your feelings. And I don't care how many times you try to make excuses for him. It's like I'm telling you, once you get in there with guys that know what the fuck they're doing, it's different, man. It's different. Because that shit that you doing, that amateur shit, is not going to work on these guys. So, and for the record, when he went on 7-8 Sports the next day after the fight, let's remember what 7-8 said to him. 7-8 didn't say to him, yo, Wilder, you my brother, you know, and I got nothing but respect for what you accomplished. I feel like it might just be that time to reassess what you want to do, because I don't really see that same fighter that I've seen before. That's not what 7-8 told him. 7-8 told him he didn't like the fact that they put him in there with a guy that was active and Wilder wasn't. That's what none of y'all was saying before he got his ass whooped. And he said 2 or 3 tune-up fights, man, you get back to being, you know what I'm saying, when nobody better fuck with you, they wouldn't even touch you. Wilder, oh, not at all, right? What happened, though? He was reluctant to fight Zhang. He finally did fight Zhang, but look at what happened to him. It's just a coincidence, huh? He went from last dance, last chance. A couple of times he tweeted something and talked about we not done just yet, and who are you fooling, right? You're lying to yourselves by saying, wow, you still think Wilder has it. I seen an interview with Hassan Rahman. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and they were asking, like, what does Wilder need to do in order to get back? Let me tell you, Hassan Rahman showed him love and basically was saying, like, you know, gave his take on it, saying for him to get back to that Wilder we know, grown to know and love and all. He was being gracious with him. Let's be real. Michael Moore said it. George Foreman said it. Ray Mercer said it. Which was Andre, the real brother that was recently most active, the one that fought Caleb. Many different fighters have said it. Wilder got to learn how to box. It's too late for him to start from scratch, and it's probably too late for him to change anything. Wilder got to learn how to box, and he never did really learn how to box. Malik Scott says you don't win a silver medal because you don't know how to box. That's bullshit. Everybody's not a boxer. That's bullshit. I mean, I'm win a bronze medal. That's bullshit. That's why he didn't win the gold damn medal. You know what I'm saying? Not even the silver, won the bronze. But bottom line, my point was with Wilder was Wilder himself saying things like, remember how AJ fights himself? Don't look confident. Right, Wilder's overconfident. And his overconfidence, his ego, detach him from reality. So when a man is telling you, I got a blessing and a curse in the right hand, and what applies to other fighters don't apply to me, he don't feel the need. He said out of his own mouth, you know, when you got like this kind of, you know, blessing and curse in the right hand, it's like, you know, all that jogging and hitting the speed bag and like, for what? Like, we don't, you know, like, you don't need to do all of that. He doesn't respect the sport of boxing. He doesn't respect the craft, the art of it. So for him, thinking that all he had to do was touch that chin with the right hand, is over. Like I always said, and like trainers always said to us, what happens if you can't knock the guy out? What happens? You hit him with your best shot repeatedly, and this motherfucker just don't go down, or he go down and get back up and keep coming. Then what? You got to have some skills to fall on. So it can't be about just power. It's not about just one thing. And this is something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. And this is why I get so, like, for me, when I look at how elementary this is, when a guy like Tank says shit like Shakur ain't did nothing, he ain't beat, this motherfucker was unified champion. Fucking, are you shitting me? He didn't do anything. Come on, man. Like I said, Tank Styles is more explosive and more exciting to people overall. It appeals to more people. But when you talk about a guy as skillful as Tank, I mean, as skillful as Shakur, both of them are skillful. As skillful as Shakur, and then you got a guy like Wilder who's a one-trick pony and always been nothing but a one-trick pony. And yet, people don't understand that because they like the guy. Okay, that's fine. You can like him all you want. That's your business. I'm not here to talk about who I like. Fuck every one of these fighters. Ain't about who I like. Fuck all. I don't like none of them. Fuck them. I respect what they do. I appreciate a good fight. Do you understand? It's not about who I like. It has nothing to do with that. This is why people can't handle the fucking truth. But I guarantee you, if your motherfucking asses was ever accused of some shit that you didn't do, you want Aries to be that fucking judge banging that gavel. Because you know what? Aries tell it like it is. Oh, now you realize it because your fucking ass don't want to go to jail. Man, you don't fucking go off feeling emotions, man. No, you go off what's real. And this is what I'm saying. You put a fighter in the right situations, you put a fighter in the right scenarios, and then they prevail. Then all of a sudden they finally step up and they can't compete. You don't never know how a fight's gonna go. Fabio Wardley, Fraser Clark had a brutal ass first fight. And people, anytime these two get together, it's gonna be fireworks. And that second fight was nothing like the first one. Dude went out in the first fucking round. So, you know, and what I'm saying is, look at the respect that both fighters got. Now, you tell me, when you watch boxing, you don't realize who can fight and who's good and who's not. You don't see that. So when you watch Wilder, you telling me you don't see his limitations? When you watch James Kirkland, you didn't see his limitations? When you saw Michael Grant, you didn't see his limitations? Or like you, for some reason, if you like the fighter, you just don't see it. When I was telling people about James Kirkland, I said, man, Ann Wolfe got more presence, more common sense about what he should be doing in that ring than he does. And that's the problem. He can't connect with her. He doesn't see it that way. And he, like Wilder, thought, ain't nobody gonna be able to take my power. Once I hit you, you out of there. So I gotta do all this other shit you talking about. He couldn't absorb. That's the thing. He and Wilder and Michael Grant had the same mindset of, once I hit you, you going down. They all had that mindset. Michael Grant, he just wasn't good enough to compete with the top guys. It showed once he got in there with them. It showed before he even got in there with them. As far as I'm concerned, for me, Wilder, the same exact thing. He couldn't compete once he got in there. And you look at the people that was outboxing Wilder, right? This is the point of what I'm saying. When you look at who was outboxing him, and you're like, how the fuck are you losing to this guy? Then you look at James Kirkland, the same thing. James Kirkland was one-dimensional, only knew how to fight one way. Power, power, power. Wilder, power, power, power. Michael Grant, power, power, power. Wilder, no skill. Michael Grant, no skill. James Kirkland, no skill. Take your feelings out. Listen to what I'm saying. Look at the outcome. Only a dumbass person can't see the reality in what I'm saying. And everything that I fucking called on these guys, it happened. You know, one of the reasons, and like, you never know what's going to happen in the fight, but one of the reasons why I can say the things I say so confidently is because I'm not just sitting here saying shit just to say it. And that's anytime I'm speaking. But I'm not looking at no fighter speaking about a situation based on because I want this person to win. That's why I tell you guys, like somebody who they might not seen a lot of your material, then they see one video and you hear me saying things about Anthony Joshua and too dumb to fucking realize he's the heavyweight I want to see beat everybody. Am I going to sit here and fucking tell you I think AJ's still going to do this and that? And I don't see, AJ got to show me something. I don't have faith that Anthony Joshua is going to bounce back and be the same AJ. Now, I'm not telling you that he can't do it, but what I'm saying is looking at him and listening to him talk and looking at how he jumped in there with Daniel Dubois and how the fact that the fight went the way that it did, just how he looked in that fight, and for him to be, AJ's no longer a baby. Okay, he wasn't a baby when he came in. Okay, but what I'm saying, Anthony Joshua is a seasoned veteran now. Yeah. So ain't no more, it shouldn't be that fucking, you don't have time to not be in the ring for 2 years. So basically, Anthony Joshua's star power has him in a position of every fight that AJ has. I look at his contributions to the sport and all. Okay, cool, I get it. Politics is going to be on his side. He's going to only try to fight the big fights. That's where he is. Now, if he pulls off the win, great. But if he goes in there and he's not hungry refusing to lose and coming in with the right mindset, he's going to lose again. Do you guys not understand? When I'm saying AJ, to me, could beat all of these guys at one point, it's because of what I've seen AJ do and what I've seen the others do. This is not the same AJ now. When I watched him dismantle his last two opponents, just to walk into there against Daniel Dubois and do what and let the fight happen the way it did, it was like, wow. It was a disappointment, a huge disappointment. Now, not to me personally, but to understand where he's come from, what he's been through, and all of a sudden 2 big wins, and then he's right back to, it's just like, wow. Because when you look at them, and I'm telling you, these guys have already peaked. AJ will not be a better fighter than what he is right now. Deontay Wilder, none of them. They will not be better fighters than what they are now. You guys are so delusional that you still talk about, I think Wilder still got one more. Wow. Okay, well, cool. And again, when he lost to Zhang, remember, Zhang is older than Wilder. Usyk, what? A year younger, some months younger? Okay, so my point, this motherfucker, I mean, you can't see here his age. No, stop with that. Stop. And back to Malik Scott for a minute. Malik Scott said when he made that point about you don't win a bronze medal and become WBC champion, but yeah, look at who he beat, whether it was in the Olympics and into the pros. And then he said things like, Wilder, this shows you where Malik Scott as a coach, thumbs down. And this shows you where mentally he's lacking. Because for him to say that, and for him to actually say, Deontay does everything perfect. This is his words. He does everything perfect in training. He does everything I ask him to do. But, unfortunately, in the last couple of fights, he just didn't come out. Do you know why? Nobody's trying to take his head off in training. Nobody's trying to fucking really put paws on him and hurt him. Once the bell rings, this is the real test. It's like going to the academy to be a police officer, then going to a precinct, and you realize, like, okay, the academy trains you properly. The precincts are like hellholes, and you ready to do some real police work, rookie? Yeah. Now you are part of dirty fucking cops and all types of shit that goes on that these motherfuckers supposed to be upkeeping the law and they're breaking the law. They're fucking the equivalent to fucking criminals. Okay, a licensed gang. And you start to see the real world for what it is. Yeah, Wilder is uncomfortable. You took him out of his comfort zone. And Wilder knows now to start trying to go back to fighting lesser opponents. I mean, he tried already. What is it going to do for him? What is it going to do for his confidence to know I just beat the guy that I'm supposed to beat? This is all I've beaten my whole career. I've beaten no Hall of Fame fighters. I've beaten no great fighters. I've beaten no pound-for-pound fighters. You understand what I'm saying, people? So, this is where I look at certain people. When I looked at Mike Tyson, I never thought, when I looked at Mike Tyson, let me tell y'all something. I'm the kind of person that I really don't sit up and think about who could beat who. Right? I've never really, it's only when somebody asks me about it. And like I said, doing this channel for fun, it's just things to do where I might make a comparison between fighters at some points. But like, I really don't. When I listen to music, the same thing. I wasn't that motherfucker sitting listening to a rapper going, yo, who you think better between? Yo, I really don't be caring about that shit. I'm listening to this fucking album because I like this album. I like her album. I like his album. I like her album. I like this song. I'm not listening to it to compare. But when you start to really sit and break shit down, and you look at who's who, it's not really hard for me to, it's not hard at all for me to dig into who did what, but it's like, I don't personally care. I don't personally care. It's life is about enjoyment, fulfillment, memories, good times, great times, being loved, giving love. I'm not into this, yo, let me sit here and just find ways to just crush somebody. No, I'm going to tell the truth though. And if me telling the truth is me crushing someone, then so be it. Because at the end of the fucking day, why am I going to lie to you and tell you I think James Kirkland is a hell of a fighter? No, I don't. I think James Kirkland is a guy that could punch, that basically didn't have a good chin, that basically didn't have good fundamentals, didn't have basic fundamentals, and pretty much didn't have the ability to absorb information and become a better fighter. I feel the same way about Michael Grant, the same way about Deontay Wilder. Why is it that you got to be a hater because you speak your mind and speak the truth? But then what the fuck you say comes into fruition and people are still going, yeah, but what, motherfucker? Okay, simple. If I was you, I'd stay on this boat. Why? Because there's alligators in that water and you sitting with your ass hanging off. Now, unless you want your ass bitten the fuck off, I suggest you sit in this boat. Oh, I'm good. I'm way up here. All of a sudden, you get your ass bitten off. I told your dumb ass to sit in the boat. Stop sitting your ass hanging off the boat, right? You mad because what I said came true? Instead of being mad at your dumb ass for not listening? Didn't I tell you there was alligators in this fucking water? Simple. And that's all I did. Gave my assessment based on what I saw. I mean, did somehow Deontay beat Parker and they just robbed Deontay? Or did Parker go in there and outbox him, outclass him, and pretty much make him look stupid and smack him all around the ring? To the point dude was even hammer fisting Parker on the back of the head. Had Wilder in there trying to do little dirty shit. Is it just me? Or did Zhang not go in there and stretch him out in the 4 rounds? And didn't Malik Scott say, we like the challenge of Zhang. This is going to bring the best out of us. We like this because Zhang, he's a big guy, big head, big body. You can't miss. And with Wilder's power, see, all those things he said sound good to a Wilder fan, right? And I'm sitting here listening to Malik Scott like, man, you don't even believe that bullshit you saying, man. But he's going to say something, right? And Wilder's going into this fight talking about the savagery is back. What savagery, Wilder? What the fuck are you talking? What savage? You not a savage. You just got a good right hand, Wilder. That's it. What savagery is back? And he sat here and gave us a completely futile bullshit excuse. Oh, but look. The reason why I wasn't knocking people out is because the reason I didn't do that to Joseph Parker because y'all was criticizing it. But now the savagery is like, so wait, we really supposed to believe that you went there and held back on Joseph Parker? And that the only reason that Joseph Parker beat you is because you spared him? But now you're going to go ahead and do to Zhang what you purposely didn't do to Joseph Parker? Is that what you're telling us, Wilder? Cryo chamber, ayahuasca. You understand what I'm saying? This is my point, people. Telling people who you can beat and what you're going to do to them and how they've been ducking you and how your skill set is better than their skill set. And yeah, it all sounds good, but I just feel like shut the fuck up, lace them up, and go in there and show us. There's something wrong with that? I mean, we're not kids. You know how like when you a kid and shit and somebody say something about another kid, that's why you got holes in your sneakers, because your family poor and somebody go, oh, yo, you gonna let them talk to you like that? Oh, right, trying to instigate. Is that what we supposed to be doing now? Or do we, as men, carry ourselves as such and speak the truth? There's nothing to look, let me tell you something, man. You are only as good as you are. The type of work you put in, what you want to get out of what you're putting in, what your goals are. I would never suggest a fighter depend on just speed alone. I would never expect a fighter to, or suggest they depend on just power alone or just one element. When Roy Jones fought Bernard Hopkins in the rematch, and Bernard was telling him how he's going to beat him, he's going to do this and that. He's like, you might have a chance you can handle the speed, but you couldn't handle the speed in the first fight. You ain't going to be able to have speed now. Okay, talking a little shit. What was different about Roy Jones at the time, though? Roy Jones' reflexes wasn't the same. His foot speed wasn't there. His movement wasn't there. And basically, the experience that he had, it was only enough to keep him from getting knocked out by Bernard Hopkins, but it wasn't enough for him to actually win the fight. This wasn't the same Roy. And for somebody to be a seasoned veteran talking about you can't handle the speed. Now, I always saw Hopkins couldn't handle movement. He couldn't handle a consistent jab and speed, but movement as well. It threw him off, and he couldn't. He couldn't handle that shit. And those boxers are the ones that gave him the most trouble, or the ones that could box him, give him movement, put that jab in his face, have some hand and foot speed. He struggled with everybody that had that as a part of the game. Roy Jones had declined considerably. Okay? So, for people that wanted Roy to win, hell, I wanted Roy to win. But where Roy Jones was, I really just didn't see him winning. Because I'm like, Roy Jones is barely fucking letting his hands go at this point. And even though his hand still has some speed to it, he wasn't leading with his jab, and he wasn't throwing his punches with any real bad intentions, and he wasn't putting combinations together. What the fuck does all that hand speed mean if you're not letting your hands go? And when he did let his hands go, like I said, it was in a repetitive way. And he basically just, shaking his head, sticking his tongue out, slapping his shoes, all that bullshit. But in terms of him being able to put everything together and win the fight, Roy Jones was basically, he was done. Roy Jones was done. So for that to be the case, I was hating on Roy Jones because I'm speaking the truth about what I see. I gain nothing by hating on anyone. I have no reason to hate on no one, and no category, no department, for nothing. I'm not that kind of person. You see, the problem is people are not used to somebody being real and calling it down the middle. But like I said, if I was a fucking judge and any one of you motherfuckers was on trial for something, I guarantee you, you'd be like, nah, fuck that. Let me get Aries, yo, because he gonna call it down the middle. Bro, it's not about me telling you what you want me to hear. It's not about me telling you that I believe something's gonna happen that I really don't believe, or I don't know what's gonna happen when these guys fight. We know what the expectations are and why, but I don't know that. I mean, let's look at, for example, the Super Bowl that just happened. Do you know how many people was like, nah, KC gonna beat them? Yo, Mahone, he unstoppable, bro. Mahone is on fire right now. The Chiefs is, I think it's gonna be a good game, but the Chiefs gonna win by at least 10 points or more. At least. I'm saying probably 2 touchdowns. At least. Because they better than Philly at every area. Did y'all see the Super Bowl? I'm just saying. Yo, Aries, who you think gonna win? I ain't really been fucking with football like that too much, man. But I don't know. But I watched videos of both teams this season. Usually how they put this clip together, and I'm watching, and I'm like, And plus, it's a part of my prime. So, you know what? Let me go watch what I didn't see. Because I really just lost interest in a lot of these sports. And a lot of reasons because of the way people react to athletes. And a lot of these actors, and like the way people, they act like human beings are not human beings. And it's just like, I don't want to be that dude sitting up in the fucking restaurant and we sitting up here spending all morning bragging about and arguing about some fucking men and what they doing and who's this. And nah, it's not my style. When I started watching this shit, I asked me the same question. Who you think gonna win? I don't know. But I think Philly got this one. Philly? Oh, Aries. Nah, man. I'm saying, motherfucker, did you asking me to answer for myself or what you want me to say? Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, all right, I'm going with Philly. Just saying. Why? I don't know. Looking at both teams play, I think Philly is every bit as good as KC for what I've seen. But I think that because namesake, because I kept hearing about Mahone. I kept hearing that name like every week. You know, and like I wasn't watching the full games, but I was watching highlights and stuff like that. And I understood what was going on. But I just, you know, because I always like the Raiders, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, yo, the Raiders suck. What the fuck am I going to talk about? I'm going to say it because I always like the Raiders. As it said, man, listen, I don't pledge no allegiance to these motherfuckers. I'm built different. Y'all should know this by now. But I'm like, nah, I'm going with Philly. I'm going with Philly. Philly got this. You see the parade that they had? Well, it wasn't a parade, an official parade. They just raided the streets. It was a fucking mess. All right? But bottom line is, Philly went in there. They didn't just win. They destroyed KC. And KC only scored 22 points because it was too late. Philly knew they had this. They got this shit. It's over. Ain't coming back. And yeah, they gave them some pity points. You know, a couple little mercy touchdowns. Nothing. You know, bottom line, wasn't even close. But the majority of the people had their mind made up. Even the people on, you know, the people at the game, they want to see a good, but people was going KC. Almost everybody you talk to, KC. Okay, are you wrong for having an opinion? No. But when you ask a person, why you going KC? Yo, Mahomes is on fire. KC, yo, look at their secondary. Yo, everything, their front line, yo, the middle line, back, everything, offense, yo, they better than Philly in every department. Yo, they do not have better running backs, better receivers, better quarterback. Okay, now they're running all this shit down. Ask Aries, I give you the son. I don't know. Looking at what I saw from both sides, I'm just going with Philly. I just feel like Philly is better than people giving them credit for it. I'm not doing it to be optimistic. I'm not saying KC, you know, because I want KC to lose so much or whatever. I really don't give a fuck personally, but at the same time, I just feel like Philly got this. Philly gonna do it. I'm just saying, I'm not telling you they're gonna win. I'm saying I'm thinking that they can win. I feel like they can. Like they're gonna pull this off. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I guarantee you they're gonna win. I know for a fact they're gonna win. No, I don't know that, but I went with Philly and just look at what happened. This is what I'm telling you guys, man. So it's easy to take somebody, put them in a position, make them look better than what they are, and then they get to a point of, now I have to step my game up, and then they lose. And then the little fanboys, their little minions get their feelings because the fighter that they wanted to win get their ass whooped badly. And when they get their ass whooped, excuses. Then they want to find out what fighter you want to see win so they can attack that one and say, who gives a fuck? That is such pussy, man. Ladies, I feel sorry for you for settling down and marrying some of these sorry-ass motherfuckers that y'all met. But, you know, it is what it is. I've never seen, like, as long as I've been on this earth, I've never seen, there's certain people that stood out, and I've seen people where people made asses out themselves for, but, like, this generation, like, if there was 5 million fucking people doing it, Islam was like fucking, you know, it's like 2 billion people doing it now, arguing and fighting over people. I don't care about none of that shit. But I wanted to break this shit down to y'all because I wanted y'all to understand this is where I'm coming from. Deontay and any of these guys, he's not the first motherfucker I looked at and didn't feel like he was skillful. You know what I mean? Shakur Stevenson, you know, went through his criticism. Michael Nunn went through that criticism. And several people. The Durrell brothers went through that shit. Both of them. They don't have crowd-pleasing styles. If they want to become a star in this business, they're going to have to do this and this and that. Let's not forget, what's the dude name? Larry Merchant, right? The one that, Larry Merchant, right? I remember him. I'm like, yo, this dude he sucks, man. Because he would say shit like, well, tonight's main event, 2 questions come to mind. One, can such and such land the punch that he needs to win? The other question is, can such and such actually step up and make this a fight worth watching? Because as it stands, looking at both fighters and their resume, I'd rather watch paint dry. And I guarantee you, and I don't like to use that word often, but I guarantee you, him saying that had people going, well, what the fuck am I going to watch for? Let's watch, click, watch, start changing the channel, watch something else. You just stood here and basically told people that you might not have a good reason to watch this fight. Because me personally, I think it's going to be a boring fight. I'd rather watch paint dry. He did this kind of shit so often. And I'm like, you mean to tell me people from HBO ain't going to tell him, Larry, what are you fucking trying to put us out of business? Don't say shit like that, man. I'm not asking you to lie or try to oversell anything, but I'm telling you, don't say no shit like that. Imagine you owning a restaurant and you got customers come in and you hear the customers ask, you know, one of your employees, one of the waitresses or something, you know, hey, how's the pancakes here? And they say some shit like, well, I mean, honestly, Denny's is better. I mean, they got a Denny's like 2 miles from here if you really want some really good pancakes. I mean, like, the food here is, but it's nothing compared to Denny's. Okay, you see where I'm going with this. And this is the type of shit that he did all the time. So, yeah, nobody's asking you to hype anything up. You can't hype a motherfucker. That's the thing with me. You can't hype a fight up because I got 2 good eyes to see what's happening. I'm looking at what you're doing and what's coming back at you. I'm looking at the things that people are not taking advantage of. I really pay attention to this shit. So, yeah, man, when we watch these fucking fighters, man, we're watching to see the development and the growth and to enjoy a good fight. But it's so funny because all of these fighters, if you pay attention, that I'm speaking on, what happens when they face the type of adversity that I'm talking about. So even if you just admonish a person's like critique, it's like, yo, you saying shit, but man, pay attention to what's happening. People always take shit like I said, I don't give a fuck about nobody getting their goddamn feelings and shit. You know, I don't care about that. You know, I'm not walking around with fucking, you know, handkerchiefs and fucking pacifiers to fucking baby you little motherfuckers, man. Like, grow the fuck up. Get tougher skin. Reality is reality. And then, goddamn, Aries, this shit you be saying always happen. Always. Well, goddamn, motherfucker, join the winning team, bitch. The fuck? You sit up there telling yourself, oh, Aries don't know what he's talking about. Then all of a sudden, damn, Aries is right. Well, no, it's because Wilder old. Well, no, it's because, hey, whatever. You can make all the excuses you want. When you see certain things happen, you know, like, okay, question. For all of the Deontay Wilder fans watching this shit right now, let's say right now, somebody bring you into their gym and recruit you and start teaching you things and hire you as a trainer. What would you tell your fighter? Would you tell your fighter, hey, yo, man, just stay away from, because just getting in and move, there's no way you're going to beat him. Once he land the right hand, it's over. So I'd rather you go the distance and shit. At least you say the embarrassment to get knocked out. Is that what you tell your fighter? So why do y'all act so fucking stupid when somebody asks you a question or not even ask a question, make a statement about where he stands and how they see him? Y'all getting y'all feelings about any of these. I don't get my feelings about none of them. I'm just honest about how I see shit. I always put myself in somebody else's shoes because I know who I am. I know what I will and won't do. I know what I know who and what I am. Therefore, the same logic that I apply for one, it goes for myself as well. So this is why when I look at situations, I'm like, okay, let's focus on this right here. Let's look at what's happening. Shit is not hard for me to do, man. It's hard for fans because fans don't want to be honest. And that's why when people say any stupid thing about my judgment on something, like I'm hating or I'm not paying attention. No, you dumb motherfuckers. I am focused and paying attention. That's why when you start to watch other videos, your dumb asses will go, oh shit, I ain't never see this video, but he straight up said blah. Exactly, dumbass. I'm not being biased about anything. You are the biased ones because you're choosing a side. So even if I want to see a particular fighter win, man, I'm not going to lie about what happened. I'm not going to pretend I didn't see what happened, or I'm going to be short-sighted on how things go. No, that's not how things is. You motherfuckers make life more difficult than it needs to be. But pretty much for yourselves. That's why y'all go through life arguing with people all the time, because you don't know how to just sit back and think, let me look at this from this perspective right here. Let me look at it like I remember one time, man, and then I'm going to close this video. I remember one time we had went to this, it was a pool, but it was a restaurant, and they had added the pool, put it like that. We didn't know that they added a pool to it. So I had a pool, had they had the tables around. So where we were sitting, they had these flyers up. So it was like they had fights, some local fights and we wound up going to the fights and shit. And what we didn't know, because one of the guys that actually fought was at the same spot we was in. But we didn't know these people. So anyway, they fight. This was amateurs, right? And no, this was pros. This was pro fighting. But what happened was, the guy that was like, we remember seeing him. He's sitting there, and he had a hoodie on, all this shit. But he was, so come to find out that where they were fighting was like, this is like how they had like the circus tents. It was like one of those type of, it was in something like that. So, all right, so we go to the fight. But what he was trying to do was sweat. So his fight was like the maybe third or fourth. They had like 7 fights on that card, something like that. 7 to 8 fights, something like that. But yeah, man, when he fought, the thing was, he was sitting there in the crowd. We seen him, like, yo, that's that dude that was in his motherfucker got a brother or something. He looked just like, shit, all right, whatever. And he lost. And I remember his fucking trainer was like, yo, you got to be more disciplined, man. This is what he was saying to him. You know that bro, we train for this, man. He's telling him, we train for this. What the fuck do you think? When I'm telling the same thing I'm telling you now, you there when I tell the other fighters, man. Come on. You beat yourself tonight. You gotta fucking listen, man. I'm telling you what to do. I'm showing you we've been together for the longest. Come on, man. And he said, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. So I don't know what the fuck it was he did or didn't do, but that's what his trainer was telling him. And I know when fighters want to sweat, they put those sauna suits on and they trying to I don't know what the fuck was going on with that. But I remember his trainer telling him that. And the point what I'm saying is, let's look at how trainers are talking to the fighters in the corner. Come on, man, I need you to do this, right? If you're sitting there going, don't y'all criticize Malik Scott for that? That he talks to Wilder like Wilder's winning and shit? Wasn't y'all pissed off at him? Sitting up here like, yo, he talking to fucking Wilder in the corner like he winning against Joseph Parker and shit, man, this and that and whatever. Okay, this is the point of what I'm saying to you. Was Malik Scott hating on him? Or, was Malik Scott helping him? And if he would have been talking to him differently, would he have been hating to tell him he got to step it up? Shit, like I said, once again, Teddy Atlas did one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen a trainer do. He got so pissed off because Michael Moore wasn't listening to him. He told him, I swear to God, if you come back, if you go out there and do the same thing and come back, I'm not going to be in this corner. Do you want to train yourself, get yourself advice in the corner? And Michael Moore went out there and did exactly what he told him not to do. When Michael Moore came back to the corner, Teddy wasn't there. Teddy was sitting in the audience just, he's not listening to me, right? So you don't want to hear what I'm telling you. And he sat in the audience. He didn't even say a word to him. Michael Moore goes out the very next round and does exactly what Teddy told him to do, and the shit worked. Now when he comes back and Teddy's giving him the pep talk, he sent him a direct message. This is what I'm saying. So was Teddy Atlas hating on Michael Moore when he did that? And this is what you little sensitive bitch-made dudes are not used to. Is people being honest and direct. That's who the fuck I am. So if you watching my shit, looking for that, Precious, it's not, fuck that. Go to somebody else's channel with that bullshit. That's not what I do. That's not what I do. And I wanted to put this video out and bring awareness to some shit. I'm trying to wake you motherfuckers up with education, with hey, you know what, Dan? Because a lot of times you talk, a person go, I never thought about that shit. This is what happens, man. Every fucking fighter's career is padded some kind of way. Did you pay attention even to the last interview Tank Davis did? And the guy was saying to him, well, But okay, you saying like people patted, or Shakur, but the same thing with you, right? Like they have to like move you a certain way, put you in easier fights to right? Same thing though, right? But of course, Tank is gonna come back with something else to try to fucking move the goalposts and kind of put the burden of proof, change his burden of proof to what he's saying about Shakur to try to, make himself like a standout. And at that point, this is my point. I could have sat right there and said, Tank, the only difference between you and Shakur in terms of accomplishments is your style is more exciting and more appealing to the masses than Shakur's is. When y'all motherfuckers was saying the only person that could beat Tank is Shakur, what the fuck fights was y'all going by? Like who was he fighting that made y'all say that made y'all turn around and now say he can't beat him? Y'all flip-flop. Y'all do this shit. Y'all done this shit with Devin. Y'all done this shit with every one of them. With Ryan, y'all done this shit with Tank. Y'all done it with Shakur. Y'all keep flip-flopping because of certain performances. But then what happens is once a person gets a certain reputation, the fans, all they care about is that the fighter that they like is winning. But they're not looking at who they're winning against and how. So in closing, when we look at a guy like Shakur Stevenson that's being accused of being boring, he's not trying to get touched, he's scared to get touched, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so are you saying Tank wins? Yeah, okay, great. Now, tell Tank and them to make the fight happen and go get this easy money. It's really simple. So, Deontay Wilder, he's at the end of his career. I don't expect to see much from Wilder at all, if anything at all. He might as well whatever he chooses to do is on him, but he's done. Basically, he's done. And, him, James Kirkland, Michael Grant, they're three of a kind, man. Shakur is in a similar situation with Michael Nunn, but Michael Nunn was a different animal. Michael Nunn was a different beast, man. He was different. He was different. But that's what I wanted to bring to you guys' attention, man. Because, we got too much negative motherfuckers who think they're saying some positive shit because they're being biased and they're lying to you. I'm giving you the truth. Uncut, raw. And y'all know me, all gas, no brakes, and I'm not motherfucking gonna change that shit for nobody. Talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.